In this section of the course, we are going to be managing users and security groups. And I'll start off that discussion by providing a quick overview of Office 365 groups. So this may be a concept that you are already familiar with, the use of groups, that is, but I'll add it here because when I author courses, I tend not to make any assumptions about what people know or don't know. So they may not be familiar with the different kinds of groups that you might encounter in Office 365 and how you might utilize those kinds of groups. So the most obvious reason why you would create a group is to reduce administrative burden. After all, ask yourself, is it easier to grant a right to 40 individual users or to a single group that has 40 members in it? Well, of course, the answer is the latter. And in Office 365, that's just one of the 4 different kinds of groups that you might encounter. So let's look at them now. The first one that I'll introduce is an Office 365 group. Of course, you're not going to encounter an Office 365 group that's not within Office 365. So this creates a collection of users that allows teams to collaborate with group email and a shared workspace. So Office 365 groups are really user focused. For example, they could use OneDrive, they could take a file and share it out with an Office 365 group. So really, it's not a security entity, it's more of a convenience type of an entity. It's kind of similar to a distribution list, although an Office 365 group has more capabilities. A distribution list is really just for email. It creates an email address that represents a collection of users. So you send to the distribution list, it sends email to all members on that list. Another kind of group you can create in Office 365 is called a shared mailbox. And this makes it easy for a group of people to monitor and send email from a common email address. So for example, think of if I had a tech department at beanlakellc.com, I might have an address support@beanlakellc.com, and anyone asking for a support ticket would get a response from support@beanlakellc.com, or maybe info@microsoft.com. One email address and lots of different users. Kind of the other side of the coin of a distribution list is the way I like to think about it. The final group in our list is a security group, and this is a group that grants access to a group of users. So this is the one that you would use in the scenario I introduced earlier, where you grant a right to 40 users by assigning that right to the security group. So you might create a group of SharePoint web designers and then give that group rights to edit the SharePoint site, for example. So in terms of Office 365 administration, the one you are probably going to use the most is the security group. Throughout this section, we will look at some of those admin tasks involved with groups and the users in those groups.